Good morning and a very warm welcome to Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And this morning, joining Pandula Jayasekara and myself is the one, the only legal man extraordinaire, politician, member of Parliament,
and most powerful man in the country,
and the fourth most powerful man in the country, Mr. Faisal Mustafa. Delighted to have you on the program.
Good morning.
Good morning. And how is your father doing?
It's okay.
Good. Pass him our best wishes. In the meantime, as a minister, you couldn't possibly have not noticed that lawlessness seems to have enveloped our country. What's going on? Why are people being shot?
I mean, crime has always been prevalent.
Yeah.
But I think there is a certain an increase in crime.
Yeah.
So I think steps are being taken.
And the president had to intervene.
And law and order has to be more strictly enforced.
Yes. But we've had a situation where the president has had to step in because clearly the Minister of Law in charge of the police doesn't seem to be doing a good job at it.
I think president had to step in many an occasion.
Yeah.
I think he had stepped in because when he believes that in society today crime is largely prevalent and something has to be done about it.
Yeah.
After the war, focus has been given on law and order. During the war, the country's focus was elsewhere, and as a result, law and order, with regard to crime, there has been an increase. I think with president taking the reins, things should improve.
That's an appropriate word, reins, because we understand from the Malbim paper that the president has handed this matter over to senior DIG Pujit Jasundra, and he's on a horse, the reins. So, good move on the part of the president?
For us, unfortunately, many a time, the president has to step in to take over situations. And when he has taken over, he has managed to curtail whatever the issue. So, with regard to law and order, I mean, entrusting this issue to senior DIG Pujit Jasundra, sure that steps would be taken to eradicate crime expeditiously.
Yes.
So maybe you should you should take over that ministry, so law and order,
I have no such intention. I think there is a minister, I'm sure that minister is very capable. But president steps in many a time when he feels that his personal intervention is required.
We also have a situation where it's almost a rerun. It's almost a rerun of what happened to former Air Force Commander
Jayalat Virakode
in Borella. He had an accident, and he claimed then that a female operative who was in the car with him was the driver, and then all sorts of jolly things happened, resulting in his stepping down.
For us, I think your statement is unfair for the reason that you're comparing the Jayalat Virakode's issue with the accident where one of Champikaranaka's security personnel were involved.
Yeah.
I mean, he has very clearly stated that he was not driving the vehicle.
Yeah.
Investigations are pending. So let that continue. Why is it that an incident of that nature, everybody is trying to prejudge the issue? I mean, he has very clearly said he has very clearly said that he was not driving the vehicle.
Yes.
Certain others have said that they saw him. So we have a mechanism, we have a legal mechanism. So let that legal mechanism inquire and see what the situation is.
Have you taken on any libel cases in your legal career?
I have.
Why don't you advise your colleague in the ministry to do that?
I mean,
because one of those newspapers actually said it.
For us today, there is no criminalization. To file an action for defamation, sometimes the time, right? One could take a view that it's not worth the effort. I mean, today the free media, you may be able to file a defamation suit against the print media, but today with internet, right? I mean, sometimes it's a fruitless exercise.
It is indeed. Okay, but the point is that there is a lot of lawlessness going around.
I mean, So not only now, every time the situation, whenever there is an increase in crime, there are certain measures and steps to be taken.
Now, interestingly, we must be grateful to Minister Champik for this, because he always makes a certain valid statement, and in this case, he mentioned that there was a bike. He was talking about motorcyclists per se.
Yeah, this 1000cc motorbike.
Yes. Now, how on earth did the 1000cc motorbike end up in Sri Lanka? You cannot register a 1000cc bike. There was an interim period in which the Rajapaksa government allowed probably their children to register their bikes at that time, but it was an interim thing. The ordinary man cannot go and register a 1000cc bike.
I think it's a very good statement by Minister Champika.
Yeah.
Because there are bikes smuggled in.
That's right.
And the bikes, 1000cc bikes registered as a 250.
Yeah.
So I mean a special investigation would have to take place
Indeed.
in taking taking steps to prevent 1000cc bikes being on the road.
Yes. There is, of course, this is one of our viewers saying this.
That is wearing the wrong tie.
Well, I'm wearing the wrong tie.
You're wearing a Tomian tie, no? For
Indeed,
us,
yes.
Go to the wrong school.
There's a question that remains, of course, is to see whether the minister was actually driving or not. But we'll leave that to Senior DIG Pujit Jason, who's going to be conducting an inquiry.
He's a very honest, impartial officer.
Right. By the way, a thought just occurred to me. What is the state of the Supreme Court now? Is it well and in order now?
It is. I mean, it's independent.
You didn't think it was in the previous administration?
There were issues. I mean, especially with the 19th Amendment. It is not the person, it's a mechanism.
Yes.
Now with the Constitutional Council being in place, right? Independence has been established. It's not whether President Mahinda Rajapaksa or President Maithripala Sirisena. If the 19th Amendment was not in place, even if President Maithripala Sirisena was the president, fingers can be raised.
Can you let us in on a secret? Well, it's not a secret anymore because matters of it's water under the bridge sort of thing. But why was it that Mohan Piris, as Chief Justice, almost did a U-turn in the matter of the Golden Key while he was hearing it?
No, I think that...
What happened there?
I mean, Ali Sabri, President's Council, Ali Sabri and I objected and thought it was best that he did not hear that case.
Yeah.
And he stepped down.
Yeah.
Because we felt that he had a nexus in relation to that case where he has been a director in one of those companies at one point of time.
Well, but he was on the board of Ceylon Bank, isn't he?
Something like that, yeah. I mean, we thought it was best in his interest and the interest of the judiciary that he did not hear this case. He was kind enough to step down.
Was that the real reason?
That's the reason I objected. I mean, there is no other reason. We objected in open court. Yes. And when he asked us whether we have any objection in hearing the case. And Ali Sabri and I said that it's better if you don't hear it. And then he opted to step down.
Just like that.
What's happening to the elections?
Indeed.
The provincial, the local government elections. There are different states where Minister Lakshmanayappa says something, but you are the minister in charge. I
am the minister in charge. The delimitation process started in 2012. It was concluded in August 2015. The delimitation report has had many issues. I was compelled to appoint a committee to review it. And whilst reviewing it, it's a very tedious process. Out of 6,000 wards, about 2,000 wards will have to be changed. I have appointed a committee to go into every district, whereas the earlier committee appointed operated from Colombo. They had no nexus with the people or with the local political leadership, whereas I have instructed this committee to go to every district, meet with local politicians and find out what are the difficulties. Some of the ways the boundaries have been demarcated is unfair towards minorities.
And you have said it in a newspaper. I saw you made a statement that it's a crime to go for elections without completing the process.
I mean, if there is no fair process, because if you deprive minority representation when you have demarcated wards. Some of these wards have been done with that sinister purpose. And and President Maithripala Sirisena follows a Sri Lankan identity, and it is my duty to carry out that mandate.
Do you think this violence is anything to do with the forthcoming elections?
No, I don't think so. I mean, this violence
is unrelated.
No, this government will not tolerate violence. I mean, the underworld has to be dealt with, right? So if there are isolated incidents occurring now, and at one time it was curtailed well, you have to give credit. But now you see it in certain quarters, the underworld raising his head, and I'm sure with President giving instructions to Senior DIG Pujitha Jasundara, I'm sure we'll see a change.
Faiza, are you proud of the Prime Minister that he's given freedom to couples at Independence Square? Are you very proud of it?
I feel that couples need freedom. I mean, today the elitists, right, have opportunity to have privacy, right, for couples to meet and to spend time together. But the common man also needs an opportunity to mingle, to have certain amount of privacy, not to do any acts which are detrimental to society. But every couple would like a little privacy, and there are certain say people in the let me put it this way, the elitists have that opportunity, but the lower strata of society needs like a place to go and spend time together, and I'm sure that is a very positive step.
The Prime Minister intervened, but what about these schemes, the innocent children like Saya, all the children, but nothing is happening. So it's good that Prime Minister intervened yesterday
end of the
to
day,
our good friend Harsha, but
end of the day, law and order should take effect. I mean, there are issues.
But
but the law and order during the earlier regime, right, and the law and order now, I'm sure there's a vast improvement.
So are you proud of our Prime Minister after intervening yesterday?
I am proud of my government. I'm not proud of any individual. This government does not belong to anybody, but to everybody.
Going on a little bit more about your statement about the need for privacy. Quickie Central, do you know where that is?
No, I don't.
Quickie Central is another name for Mount Lavinia.
Okay, that's where you are from.
Indeed. Quickie Central provides all sorts of services.
You're operating a tourist hotel also?
No, I'm not. Don't be silly. Anyway.
I thought you were running a 5-star hotel there.
No, there is only one hotel worth of any note in Mount Lavinia.
You're sure about it, Faraz?
Yes. Now, I should be asking the questions, Mr. Mustafa, not you. Right? Now, tell me, we're told that you simply can't really have these local government elections, and that this delimitation thing is merely an exercise, an excuse that you have invented, very creatively so. But in actual fact, the problem is that the SLFP, having been largely responsible for bringing peace to the country, have now suddenly found that there's no peace in their blessed party.
Faraz, thank you for your left-handed compliment, but President Maithripala Sirisena and few of us left the SLFP. We didn't leave the SLFP. We took the challenge to challenge President Mahinda Rajapaksa with all his might and his state machinery, and we defeated him. We are a government, and we have a leader of that nature, and I don't think President Maithripala fears a local government election. But I mean, what is the opposition saying? Go back to the earlier system, where you go back to the PR system with the preferential vote. I can't. One has
there are two oppositions.
One have to look at this issue very prudently. Unfortunately, people are making wild statements, Bandula, without studying the law. Unfortunately, Sri Lankans spend very little time in reading before coming to certain conclusions, without making statement, before they make statement. So with regard to the local government elections, if anybody wants to be educated, I'll give my mobile number anytime to educate them, because you should understand the difficulties I am faced as a minister. I have a delimitation report which is not worthy of the paper it's written on, and I have a responsibility to the voter to see that the election satisfy the interests of all communities and all political parties. Certain quarters have made the allegation that this report has been made only for the benefit of the UPFA. President Maithripala very clearly stated this report has to be fair to all. That's why I am working on a review process. I am not doing this right? To shun away from holding elections, because I, being the Minister of Local Government, it makes my life difficult when I have to operate certain councils under officials.
Is Lakshman Yababewardhan in competition with you? He's guessing
No,
there will be elections
Bandula,
and you say
Bandula,
no.
I think,
I mean, on this issue, only he's making
Bandula, I
statements.
think Lakshman Yababewardhan, he made a bona fide statement.
Yeah.
He would have seen the delimitation process in Matra and realized that it wouldn't be prudent to have it this year because I can't finish it. So he made an innocent statement saying, my belief that I can't have it, his belief for the elections cannot be held this year.
But earlier he's the one who said there will be elections.
And then he may be right, because everybody, Bandula, if you see my statements and if you see the manner in which the delimitation report has been done, you are entitled to come to a conclusion saying, I believe that the election is next year, but I am the one.
As the minister,
I am, as the minister, the responsibility is mine. So I have no problem about Lakshman Yapa or anybody making a statement, because they have actual concern.
But shouldn't the government speak in one voice?
No, but problem is, Bandula, everybody has an opinion. So in this, we are a very democratic government. Even in cabinet we have opinion. In parliament we have opinion. We are a party, we are a government of two parties. Some may say it's a forced marriage, some may say it's a love marriage, but there is a marriage.
There is a growing concern that our Prime Minister, dear Prime Minister, is accumulating power to himself.
I mean,
the facts speak for themselves.
For us, you're making a statement again. I'm a cabinet of this government,
of course you
and
are.
President Maitripal has very clearly stated that the policies of the government should be inclusive of SLFP and the UMP policies.
Right,
so I'm sure the government.
So
will carry on
I'm going to say this to you. Then I'll put it to you, because it's happening. Previously, Ranil Wickremesinghe led the brigade that complained bitterly that the Rajapaksa family controlled around 70% of the budgets. Okay. Now we have a Prime Minister. We'll come back to this very important point about the accumulation of power to the Prime Minister after this short break. Stay tuned to Newsline.
Faraz Shaukat Ali.
Good morning again and welcome back to Newsline, where our guest this morning is Cabinet Minister Faiza Mustafa.
Youthful cabinet.
The youthful. Faiza Mustafa. Faiza, Mr. Mustafa, the accumulation of power is what I was going to ask you about. The Prime Minister. Just look at it from above, if you will, please. He's appointed a long-term confidant, Sagala Ratnayaka, as Minister in charge of the Police and Law and Order. Then we have Akila Viraj Kariwasan, who's the Minister of Education. Then we have the Prime Minister meddling in the Ministry of Finance, where we have a Minister of Finance. Now there's so many changes made to this budget, and finally the Prime Minister, the last Cabinet meeting, comes to the aid and says, to counter the President's unhappiness with the proposal made by the Minister of Finance, the Prime Minister says, well, I'm going to be making this thing, and a new mini budget is being prepared. Then the Prime Minister is also meddling in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where some committees on there. So to me, I'm looking at here, the Rajapaksas did it in a different style because they had brothers whose surnames were also Rajapaksa. Here, Mr. Wickremesinghe hasn't involved his brothers, but I see that he's accumulating power to himself. Does that bother you as an opposition member?
I'm not an opposition member, Farah.
Oh, part of this.
I'm part of the government.
Okay.
This is a national government for us. I have the Ministry of Local Government, the Prime Minister of Interference.
It is a national government because you all label it that way.
For us.
For the purpose of this program, we'll carry on. Go on.
Can I answer, Faraz?
Please do.
For us,
Yes.
the Prime Minister has not interfered with my ministry,
Yeah.
or neither has my cabinet
But
colleague.
they are his henchmen.
Listen, Faraz. If one wants to be a henchman, it's up to that person, right? But it's up to the minister, if somebody is interfering with your power, to complain. Prime Minister has not interfered with my ministry, nor with any of the SLFP appointed ministers. No, that's for us. You're asking me something which if the Prime Minister is interfering with the Ministry of Finance, that's not my concern. If the Prime Minister, I mean he has appointed one of his party men as the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Minister of Finance is one of his party men. Minister of Law. So if let me say this for us. If he interferes, I wouldn't know whether he interferes or not. If there is incompetence and he interferes, he is rightly just to do so. But with regard to my ministry, the Prime Minister has been very supportive, the President has been very supportive, and there has been non-interference. But if these are members appointed by the United National Party, right? And if those members need certain intervention by the Prime Minister, I have no problem. The President has no problem. The SLFP members have no problem. Because they are ministers appointed by the UNP. So for us, it's not for you or me to complain.
But it's a cabinet of ministers.
But Bandula, if tomorrow you take the Minister of Finance, if somebody is interfering with the Minister of Finance, it's up to the Minister of the Finance to have the backbone and say there is interference. But as regards to, from my perspective, I don't see any interference, because as regards to my ministry or my colleagues who are ministers from the SLFP, there is no interference.
The Prime Minister is appointed the Minister of Finance. He's also appointed the Minister in charge of Public Enterprise, Ravi and Kabir.
Yes.
In between, there's a nice puppet show going on in terms of the two boards, two various organizations. Just listen to me. The Prime Minister is sitting there and he's enjoying his own little puppet show when he pulls this string and he pulls that string, and these two are having a little good old fight. Because what's going on? The Prime Minister can solve this in 2 seconds.
Maybe you should go to the Royal Tomb and meet him.
Oh, I'll do that, or certainly. But why is he's just letting them fight it out, and he's sort of sitting back and saying, I like this show, but he can solve the show.
For us, I don't think that is the case, but for us,
it is.
If you are a minister and you have an issue, it's up to you to resolve it. If
can you imagine?
I also want, if anybody interferes with my ministry, right, I will raise that issue. Kabir and Ravi must be happy the way they are running their ministries. But it is not for you or me to say
why are there two people trying to be chairman of the nation? Why is there opposition to the managing director of Sri Lanka Insurance?
I mean, I thought I have to answer this question. You asked the question and the answer.
Yes.
If I was Kabir Hashim, and if I have an issue, I would have raised it and resolved it.
A viewer says Minister Faisal Mustafa is not answering the questions.
Bandula,
this is what a
Bandula, let me get this straight. You asked a question. You asked me about 2 ministers having a problem. If those 2 ministers have no issue, right? It's not my problem. It is up to those ministers. Now, when I was the appointed state minister, when I was appointed state minister of aviation, they appointed a cabinet minister above me. I thought it's not prudent for me to function. I resigned, and I supported President Maitripala whilst being in the government. I mean, if anybody
became
I'm not powerful as you say. But Bandula, if anybody interferes with my ministry, I will raise objections.
But these are your cabinet colleagues.
At cabinet, I'm going to ask you a straight question.
Yes.
At cabinet, if the matter of extending the governor of the central bank, of giving him his own 6-year term, because he's now serving the balance.
This is favorite question.
Let me ask you. I'm not going to mention that word, the 4-letter word that goes after James. Okay. Now, what I'm trying to ask you is, at cabinet, if the matter of appointing the new governor of the central bank comes up, will you oppose the continuance of Arjuna Mahendran? Yes or no, Mr. Mustafa?
Can I say this?
Yes or no?
No, I will not. You can ask it. For us, I belong to the SLFP. The President has made his stand very clear with regard to the governor, saying that the governor should not continue. At that point of time, he made a statement, and the SLFP would take a decision based on that. No, Bandula, I have no individual view on anything when it comes to cabinet because I represent a political party. I articulate the political party.
I believe that President Sirisena has missed the boat in terms of you. He's missed the boat because he's appointed you to the wrong ministry.
That's true.
He should have sent you to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Why are you saying
because
that?
You have practiced the art of
you have
evading.
displayed
Art of
a
evading.
wonderful sense of diplomacy.
No, I'm very blunt.
And all our people have
Faraz,
yes.
I am very blunt. I'm Charlie Blunt when I have to say anything.
Yeah.
But, I mean, my view is very balanced in any issue because today there's politics has become mudslinging. You asked me a question about the central bank governor. It's a collective decision. At the right time,
can you not say yes
I
or no?
will
But
not.
you have mastered the art of
Shall I tell you,
evasiveness.
Bandul and Farad, I can't preempt the future when the term for extension comes. Right, as a political party, we will take a collective decision because the president has made his stand at that point very clear. Things have moved on, and I'll take
He has given you answer. He's going to say no.
Yes,
He's given you the answer. He's going to say no to us.
What is no?
On that note, Faisal Mustafa, thank you very much for being on Newsline. But ladies and gentlemen, our viewers, please remember that the governor of the central bank, his term expires in June, and do contact your members of parliament if you feel strongly about it, and object or not, as the case may be. On that note, thank you, Bandula, for being on the program, and do watch this week. And there's a bigger event happening, the Royal Tournament, towards the end of this week, which you need to be aware of. In the meantime, thank you for watching Newsline. Take care, have a great day, and God bless.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.